In this video we're going to look at another set of scripts that will download data held in your personal G drive into Google Sheets. So when you open the sample file for the first time, the first thing that you need to do is click on File and make a copy, and you can give it whatever name you want. So I'm just calling my Google Drive and click OK. And then you just let the file render and initialize. And when it's ready, you'll see there's an additional menu item called GDrive. If I click on it, you'll see four sub-menu items. And these four items do one different action each. Down at the bottom of the sheet, I have four tabs or four sheets: all folders, subfolders, all files, and files and folder. So the first folder available is all folders, and this equates to the top menu item. So I'm just going to click on it, and I'm prompted to authorize it, so click on continue. So it wants to view, manage sheets in Google Drive, view, manage files and documents in Google Drive, view and manage your documents in Google Drive, and view and manage your forms in Google Drive. So I'm just going to accept that, and the script is already running. It's put in a header, and it's listing the files that I have available in my Google Drive, the folders I should say, in my Google Drive. The script is still running, and I'll get a prompt in a second or two to say that the script has finished. Finish script, and there is my list of folders in Google Drive and the date that they were created, and if I have a description against them, it's there also. If I click onto the subfolders, the next script is looking for a prompt. So if I click on GDrive, it's saying subfolders and folders, enter a folder name in cell A1. Well, if I want to look for a particular folder, I pick on Google Sheets Community, go to subfolders, and I'm going to paste it into cell A1. And then I'm going to run the second script. And what this is doing is listing the subfolders within that particular folder. So all these folders, GS scripts and add-ons and so on, these are all available as subfolders within the Google Sheets Community parent folder. And it gives a URL to open that particular folder also. The third script takes the longest to run because it'll download all files that I have in Google Drive. So click on GDrive and click on Get All Files. I just let the script run. Now I have just under 1,300 files in my Google Drive at the moment, and the script will run and download all these particular names. If you have a few more files than that, maybe 1,500, 1,600, there's a chance that the script will time out. On the free version of Google Drive, the scripts are limited to 4 to 5 minutes. So if your script takes longer than that to run, it will time out. My intention is to go back to this particular script and improve it so that it can be run several times in succession. Because the first time I did this script, I had a lot more data that I was pulling down, but the unfortunate thing was that the script itself timed out and I couldn't download all the information that I wanted to. So this file is producing this script is producing a list of all the files that I have, and it's already over 600 items, and it's still growing. And I'm just going to cancel this because you get the point with it. It'll keep going. The last folder is the files in a particular folder. So if I want to see what files I have in the root folder, which is in your GDrive folder, so I'm just going to type in root, click on GDrive, and root is case sensitive files and folder, enter folder name in cell A1, which I've done, and the script is now running. And these are the files that I have in the root directory, and there we go. So those are the four scripts. So let's have a quick look at them. So tools and script editor. So the overall project is copy list of drives in GDrive. So I have a basic description of the original script. So I got the script from here. So this was the original script, and this gave me the basic details that I needed to run. So the basic original script had hard-coded the name of the folder that I wanted to query, so I had to change that so that I could enter the folder name from the spreadsheet. The second thing was it was looking for a particular file type of spreadsheet. I wanted to look at all file types, and it was giving an automatic description of audio/MP3 to the particular files, and I didn't need that. But essentially that was the structure that I was looking for, and I was able to build all four scripts against that. So the first one again is just the onOpen function that we've seen a few times at this stage. That's the trigger function. So depending on which sub item you click on, it will activate these particular functions. So the first function is all my folders. So it declares a couple of variables: the sheet, the folders, and the data. So the data is the details that's going to be output about those folders. All it does, it actually clears the sheet, so it wipes all data from the particular sheet, and then it starts to append row one after another. So it appends row and puts the name, the date, the description, and the URL. These are the 4 items that are going to be output for this particular function. And this while loop just executes. So while there is another folder to go, this while loop will continue going. Declares another variable called folder and adds in the next folder in sequence. The data goes, well, for the folder method, for the class folder, get the name of it, get the date it was created, get the description of it, and get the URL of it, and then close that particular array and append a new row of data. And there are 4 columns of data, and all this does is at the end of writing out all the files, it just auto resizes the columns so the data looks neater. Simple as that. The second function does pretty much the same thing. So this function is list subfolders and folder. So instead of actually hard coding the name of the folder, it picks up whatever name is entered into cell A1. Okay, and that works as the subfolder name, and it's pretty much the same as before. So it clears a sheet, then appends a new row with the name, date, description, the parent folder name, and the URL, and this time it does a for loop. So while the contents is greater than 0, it will keep looping through and adding the iteration to this variable item called content, which is a folder, and the get folders method. So for each folder class, it gets a name, gets its date created, gets the description, gets the range, and the range is just simply the name of the parent folder. So it just keeps writing out the same folder name each time, and it gets the URL. And for each line of this, or for each iteration of this, it appends a new row, and when all the data is written out, it resizes those first 5 columns. And again, then for the third one, all my files. This is the one where I had a little bit of trouble with the timing out. So the function all my files declares a sheet, the files, and the data, clears the sheet of contents. It appends the row with the name, date, size, description, the type of file, and the URL. And while there's the next file, it will continue looping through. This line here just logs to a file to make sure that it is actually outputting data. I can comment that out if I don't need it or delete it altogether, but it's useful when you're building up testing the file at first. Now, what was going on at first, I had an if statement to say whether the file had a parent or not. If the file had a parent folder, then this array was executed. If it didn't, this array was executed. But I had to change it because with this additional information, the script was taking too long to execute, and it was just timing out. So I had to comment out the get owner information, and I had comment out the get parents information. So the only information I could take was the name, date created, the size, and get description, the type, and the URL, and then just appending each line of data and resizing each of the columns. What this original if statement did was, if the parent name was known, it would output the parent folder name. If the parent name wasn't known, this array was output, and for the parent name, it would just put the word unknown against it. It was just as simple as that. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to execute all this because, as I said, the script would time out. The last function was list all files in a folder. So again, it's very similar. So it picks up the folder name from cell A1, declares a few of the variables, clears the sheet, puts in the headers, the name, date, size, description, type, folder, and URL. There's a for loop again. So whilst the contents is greater than 0, it will keep iterating through, and it outputs the name, the date created, the size, the description, the file type, the range is the folder name, and the URL, and it just appends another line into the spreadsheet and then resizes each of the columns. So hopefully you could see at this stage that the sheet scripts, even though there's 4 of them, they're very similar. So once you get the structure for one particular type of action, you can amend them and change them to meet various different types of scenario. And that's it really. Thank you for watching.